What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and today, I know I just did a Texas Chainsaw Massacre update, but ladies and gentlemen, we have even more TCM news to report on here at Bloody Breakdown. Now, just a couple of days ago, I believe Friday, I released a video giving a brand new update, and I said in that video there hasn't been much Texas Chainsaw Massacre news. We knew the film was coming. We knew Fede Alvarez was going to be producing. We knew a handful of items, but some of the bigger things have been started to roll out now. So we're going to get into it, but before we do, reminder to everyone, if you enjoy this video, leave me a thumbs up. It helps the channel out. Subscribe and turn on notifications. If horror is your thing, you might want to consider doing so. And also, check down below in the description section. You'll see a couple of links to follow me on Twitter or even support this channel on Patreon. So if that's something you'd be interested in doing, I'd be eternally grateful. Just grateful. So let's hop into this because this is some big news. This isn't the only article we're going to be covering in this video. So let's jump in, because when I saw this news, and by the way, this news dropped immediately after I posted that last Texas Chainsaw Massacre update. So I didn't want to wait too long to get in on this, but I also didn't want to throw out too much of the same stuff at the same time. So that's why there's some news today. Like I said, 2 articles from this thing. We definitely got to talk about this. So enough banter, jumping right in. As you can see here, Mandy actress Olwen Fuer, I believe I'm saying this correctly, will be playing Sally Hardesty in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Before we even get into this article, can we just stop for 1 second and acknowledge how big it is that the franchise is finally bringing back the original final girl in this franchise, the survivor of the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the character of Sally Hardesty. Now, obviously, the original actress who portrayed Sally passed away a number of years ago in 2014, I'm wanting to say. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Let me know in the comments. So unfortunately, we're not really going to get to have that, and with Gunnar Hansen passed away too, who played Leatherface in the original film. We're not going to get that Jamie Lee Curtis, Nick Castle cool moment or whatever. But I honestly think it is fan-fucking-tastic, and it is a great step forward in my mind, just bringing the character back. So Olsen Fuer, once again, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who you may remember from Mandy, I think her name was Mother Marlene, perhaps in that film. So the lady's got some good acting chops. I've seen some of her stuff. I'm not concerned at all with the actress they've casted. I think she kind of looks like an older Sally Hardesty. I'm fine with this lady's acting. I think she's in what I've seen her in, which has been limited, I'll admit. I think she's done a fantastic job. So no complaints there at all whatsoever. I'm just really excited about this character returning to the franchise because, with Scream, you've got Sidney Prescott. With Halloween, you've got Laurie Strode. With Hellraiser, you've got Kirsty Cotton. You've got Nancy Thompson with Freddy. Like, it's kind of lacking from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They've always tried to put up a new protagonist against Leatherface instead of really just giving what the fans they want in a lot of ways and going back. Like, if you're really going to go back to the original and make this legacy sequel, I think this is the way to do it. So I've yammered on enough. Let's get into the article here. So one thing the various Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels have never done is bring back the final girl from the original classic, Sally Hardesty, who was played by Marilyn Burns in Tobe Hooper's 1974 movie. Even the remake substituted a new character in Sally's place, with Burns appearing in a small cameo in The Next Generation, but never reprising her role. By the way, just a quick aside, that's one of the reasons I kind of have a soft spot for Texas Chainsaw The Next Generation, is because you have so many characters from the original in that ending scene. Franklin's in there, Sally's in there. I thought it was cool. Hey, crucify me, whatever. I kind of like that ridiculous ass movie. But jumping back in, sadly, Marilyn Burns passed away back in 2014. So yes, that was the year. Shortly after playing a new character in Texas Chainsaw 3D, but Bloody Disgusting has been able to confirm this week that the character she made famous will be returning to the screen in the upcoming Fede Alvarez produced Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Decades later sequel to Tobe Hooper's original classic, horror classic. The film will bring Leatherface back to the screen as a much older man, which we discussed in the last update. And we've learned that Mandy and Sea Fever actress Olwen Fuer will be playing an older Sally Hardesty. Sally Hardesty, of course, the sole survivor of the 1974 movie, tormented and tortured by Leatherface and his family, but ultimately escaping with her life, just barely, that is. I'm interested to see, I'm interested to see the different variations of, like, in the timelines of Halloween, like, how does this Laurie Strode fare? How does this Laurie fare? I'm really interested to see how Sally fares at all, because it's a total blank. Even though, there are kind of timelines in this one too, this franchise, we've never really seen what became of Sally after she rode off on the back of that truck, that pickup, with Leather doing his crazy chainsaw dance in the background. She looked legitimately psychotic herself, like she had been completely scarred mentally, physically, you name it. I would absolutely loved, and I've been saying this for a while too, but it's nothing I ever really harped on because I didn't think that they would actually pull the trigger on it. So I'm beyond ecstatic to see this news. It's one of those things in horror, specifically this franchise, that I think a lot of people have really wanted to see, and it's a shame they waited too late for Marilyn Burns to portray this role again, or for Gunnar Hansen to portray this role again. It's a shame, but I will say that I feel really good about that character coming back. It's really good. Good news in my estimation. I spoke in the last video about how are they going to do something different than Texas Chainsaw 3D? Because this movie feels like exactly what Texas Chainsaw 3D was trying to accomplish. Now, if you're going about saying, okay, we didn't accomplish it in that film, let's accomplish it in this one, I'd say this is a damn fine way of starting. And it's an obvious thing to put her in the film, but a lot of people have overlooked it. And bear in mind, we don't know how much this character is going to be utilized in this film. I have no idea. I just like having that closure in some shape, way, form, or fashion of knowing what became of Sally Hardesty after 1974. So there is one other article that I wanted to touch on here, and that is a little different one. Along the same matter, of course, we're going to be taking a look at who is playing Leatherface. Yes, ladies and gents, we actually have that news available as well. Now, before anyone gets in an uproar, I'll say this. It is Mark Burnham, according to this article, playing Leatherface in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Now, I haven't seen much of his work, if really anything. But to be honest with you, I'll say this, and I think there are some pictures in the article we're about to get into. The guy looks the part, and a lot of Leatherface is that imposing figure. Not to say that's all of it, but I think it's a blank slate, at least for me, on how this actor is going to utilize body language. Maybe not so much speak, but the sounds that the character makes. I'm interested to see that because I don't know much about this guy, but I will say, body-wise, I'd say they've nailed it. So let's jump in here to this article, part 2 in our Texas Chainsaw Massacre update. And here's a picture of the fella right here. It says, we've learned a lot about Legendary's new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie this week. You can say that again. With producer Fede Alvarez revealing to Bloody Disgusting's Boo Crew podcast that it's actually a sequel to Tobe Hooper's original classic centered around Old Man Leatherface. Additionally, we reported that Sally Hardesty is coming back, playing the character we haven't seen Marilyn Burns play since back in 74. But here's the interesting thing. Who's playing Leatherface, you ask? Bloody Disgusting has been able to confirm that Mark Burnham of Lowlife, which I have not seen, will be the latest actor to don the skin mask and wield the chainsaw. Now, looking at this guy here, I also did a couple of Google image searches just to check out, what the guy looked like, maybe see if he'd been anything familiar to me. And I will say this, the guy's got the body type to play Leatherface. Now, I'm going to have to become more acquainted with his acting, with his ability to be able to make a comment on that, because, I mean, as it stands right now, I can't. But I will say, impressive figure. He looks like Leatherface as far as the body type goes. So I guess we'll see where this goes. But the article says Leatherface was originally played by the late Gunnar Hansen, with various actors taking over for the role for the mini sequels, reboots, and follow-ups. Bill Johnson played Leatherface in Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, R.A. Mielhoff in Texas Chainsaw 3, Robert Jacks in The Next Generation, and just kind of goes down the list here of everyone to take over the role from Hansen. So David Blue Garcia directed the movie for Legendary, which was written by Chris Thomas Devlin and filmed last year. Stay tuned for more as we learn it. And that's the interesting thing. This movie's already been filmed, like it's in post. And we're just now starting to learn who's in the fucking movie. I was concerned about that for a while, but now that we're actually starting to see all this come together, I'll be honest with you, I'm starting to become more excited for this Texas Chainsaw than I have since, I don't know, man. I got to be real with you. It's been a while since I've really been excited, because like we said in the last video, the last at least two have been just subpar, have not been up to what I would consider this film's. I mean, there's been bad ones before the last two, but, it was always kind of like a give and take. Like, maybe this one wasn't good, but the next one's good. But I think they've had two stinkers and three strikes and you're out, man. So this one's got to be really good. But like I said, I haven't been this excited for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre in some years, to say the least. So with this news, we now have Leatherface cast as Mark Burnham. Will be gracing the screen as Leather. We now know that Olwen Fuer, I once again hope I'm saying this correctly, will be on screen reprising, or I shouldn't say reprising, but taking up the role of Sally Hardesty for the very first time that character has been a part of the franchise since the original. So yeah, I want to know what you all think about this, because I got to tell you, a lot of my attention was on Scream, coming up in 2022 in January, and Halloween Kills coming up in October of this year, with some of my attention kind of being spread to stuff like Candyman coming out this year, Spiral coming out this year. But my attention has been spread even more thin now, because I am officially excited for this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what I'm considering a legacy sequel. So like I said, let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. Are you excited to see Sally Hardesty's character come back? Are you cool with the selection of the actress they picked? Are you cool with the selection of actor they picked for Leatherface? Let me know all your thoughts about this Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. And definitely, once again, leave me a like if you enjoyed the video. Turn on notifications. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you're a fan of horror cinema, this is the channel for you. And with that said, couple of links down below if you want to follow me on Twitter. It's mostly horror there as well, or even support my work and this channel on Patreon. That link is down below as well. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Like I said, leave me your comments down below. I'm really interested to know what you all think about this. I'm Brand from Bloody Breakdown, and we'll catch you all next time.